Yo, I got banned from events. I did nothing wrong, man. I did nothing wrong whatsoever. I didn't even know I got banned. I didn't get no email. I didn't get no explanation. Jokingly. What's up
YouTube? Capital G here, ruining another deck that you probably wanted to play in the future. You thought the deck looked cool, you thought it had plays, but turns out it's just degenerate because a new Megalith FTK has been discovered, and worst of all, it's just a one card FTK, which is the best type of spicy FTK. Shout outs to Masaki Mai for bringing this to my attention. I actually saw this posted on Reddit not too long ago, and then they just went ahead and sent me the duel, and I was like, whoa, this is absurd. And in the past, I've actually said, like, I think the last time I talked about Gildagra as a card, I was like, it's time to stop. Konami needs to like legit ban this card, because this is not the first time that this card has been associated with an FTK, because it can send cards from your extra deck to the graveyard, and that's such a powerful effect, especially with rituals, Herald of the Arclight. In fact, I'm just gonna roll this because this is one of the longest and most convoluted FTKs I've ever seen in my entire life, and it's gonna take a very, very long time. So obviously, when you're playing ritual monsters, your first two activations of Gildagra are going to be to send Herald of the Arclight to the grave. Then you're going to summon your Megalith Fall, and that card is just going to get you rolling. Now, the thing about Megaliths are they're not hard once per turns when it comes to their special summon effects, and then their ritual, well, it's not a ritual card. It's a quick play that lets you ritual summon. It's not a hard once per turn as well, and we all know, because if you guys have seen the videos that I posted previously with this archetype, Block Dragon is just absurd in this deck. Block Dragon can be used as ritual fodder, and then it allows you to just get more Megalith monsters from your deck, and it just so happens to be searchable from the Gallant Granite, and this card can be made in the deck because you have level 4 monsters. So basically there's just too much synergy with Block Dragon not to actually run the card. But yeah, you can easily get an FTK. You're gonna go into your Dogaris. This card is another card I've talked about in the past, where I'm like, basically if you're using this card, you don't care about the next turn as long as you can win during that turn. I feel like there's a little bit of an FTK card as well. And eventually you need to make 2 warriors, which is fine. You can just summon cards from your extra deck, and you guys can see it's all gonna come down to this little card right here, your telekinetic charging cell. This card has always kind of been used in conjunction with your Ripidocus, because you can change things like Gildagra or Cyberstein. You can change these monsters into psychic type, and then you don't have to pay the cost of their effects. To be honest, even though this combo uses a lot of broken cards, I kind of feel like this card is a little bit like, the only time I ever see this card used is in conjunction with like FTKs or like super ridiculous degenerate stuff. I wonder if Konami might end up hitting this card in the future, because it just reminds me of, it's kind of like Tempest Magician. People only use this card with Gildagra. They only use it with Cyberstein because they're not hard once per turns, but they're supposed to use a finite resource. You're supposed to have to pay 5,000 life points for Cyberstein. You're supposed to have to pay 3,000 life points for Gildagra, but obviously with telekinetic charging cell, you don't got to pay anything. You can just keep activating the effect. And you know, these cards that exploit it they're all old cards, so they don't have hard once per turns or anything like that. Maybe they could just errata these monsters, and then it wouldn't be a problem. Anyways, you're going to continue going through this, and this is kind of going through the notions again. You guys will see the win condition fairly soon, but as I said before, this is without a doubt one of the most convoluted, it probably is. It's probably the most convoluted FTK I've ever shown on this channel, because the amount of damage you do is very, very low, but it is infinite. So it doesn't like, there is a reason to do it, and it's not like your opponent can say you're not making any plays. But the reason that I call this the TRIF jokingly FTK, well, it'll manifest itself. There it is. So all of those steps, guys, all of the actions that you have seen so far, I don't know how many there were because I didn't take count, and I'm not going to take count. All of that is done to make a single copy of Cowboy. And then after you do that, you link it away, you go back into some more warrior monsters, and you're going to summon the Cowboy. I hope Konami ends up seeing like this video, Konami put Cypher and Lord Omega at 1. Turns out you only need 1 copy, Konami. You just keep... The reason that this combo is infinite is because you keep putting cards back in your deck with Omega. And Omega's effect is not a hard once per turn. So this is like the perfect... This is like the perfect display of how to exploit non-hard once per turn effects. Because a lot of these cards do have hard once per turns, but they also have other effects that aren't. And it's like you're exploiting every single one of those non-hard once per turns. So you just make another cowboy. I'm not going to roll through this because you do technically need to cowboy your opponent, I believe 10 times, and it could be 12 times if you run Upstart Goblin, but we're not going to roll this entire thing because it's like monotonous. After like the 3rd time of cowboying your opponent, I think they understand, they get the deal, but basically you're jokingly making plays and totally not stalling for time, and then you make cowboy for game. And if Konami sends you an email to Doug Z for, I don't know exactly how it goes, but let's just say that TRIF is that's my homeboy. Anyways, another combo with the Megalith archetype. This one combines Adamassia, and while I do think that that last combo will be TCG legal by the time we get Rise of the Duelist, this one I'm not certain with, just because there are some cards that I think could possibly get hit, one of which I feel very, very confident about. Now, if you're not playing a degenerate version of Megalith, I believe that you should be running ARA. Advanced Ritual Art is just so good because it can send Earth monsters to the graveyard, and it also summons your level 4 Megalith monsters. And then we know that these Earth monsters just become fodder for your Block Dragon. Plus, it just makes too much sense not to go for. Anyways, you're going to be comboing. You do always need to have access to Block Dragon with this deck, so you will go for the Gallant Granite once again to get access to your Block Dragon. It serves as ritual fodder. It can serve as link fodder. It's basically just an all-in-one package. Now, this build does, as I said before, it uses the Adamassia monsters, and it uses specifically them for their tuners, and then it allows you to kind of take advantage of the fact that the Megalith monsters are also Earth attributes. So when you have Earth attributes and you can synchro summon, you know where we're going with this. We're going to Nataria City. Now, the card that I personally think has a chance of getting banned here, and oh man, I saw a comment where it's like, Cat, every video you say something needs to be banned. Come on, guys. Glow Up Bulb, I do not believe Glow Up Bulb and Needle Fiber should exist in the same formats. I think that Konami is going to keep Needle Fiber around for a little while to see if it like is broken with Adamassia, but I personally think Glow Up Bulb is going to get banned. It's already banned in the OCG if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Glow Up Bulb is what you're going to summon. Make the Naturia Beast with any of your level 4 Megalith monsters, but you can also make Naturia Barkion as well, which is like even more absurd. So there's your Naturia Barkion, not even done yet. Gonna make IP Masquerena. That will come into play during your opponent's turn. This is what's really absurd too. Not only do you have spell and trap negation with your two Naturia Beast and Barkion monsters. I can't speak for some reason, but obviously Christian Needle Fiber can go into Desert Lotus, and then you end up taking a card out of your opponent's hand. And then on top of that, you can also use IP Masquerena's effect after that resolution, and you can make Appaloosa for monster negation. But that's not even it. You can also use your Megalith Full, and you can make Bathor during your opponent's turn to pop like 4 cards. This is, it's actually absurd what you can make with this, or what the Megalith archetype can do when you give it a little bit of juice. So you can see, I think it's a pop for 3 actually. You get IP Masquerena, which turns into your Appaloosa for 3, and then you also can like Bathor your opponent during their turn to pop 3, and then you're also going to have Naturia Beast and Naturia Barkion. Basically like Dark Ruler No More, or could you, I'm trying to think if there are any like super poly targets that you could use here to kind of out this board. Let me see, Beast and yeah, I think you can make Mud Dragon actually, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't Mud Dragon 2 monsters with the same attribute but different types? So I guess you could use the Naturia monsters to make like a Mud Dragon, but it wouldn't be big enough to attack over the Appaloosa, but it at least would get your spells and your trap cards online. Anyways, I'll go ahead and show you guys the deck list for the Megalith FTK, and then the deck list for the Megalith combo video, or the Megalith combo that you guys saw in the second duel. Now, if you guys are wondering, why this is a 19 card deck. You're like, Kev G, how you gonna play Yu-Gi-Oh with a 19 card deck? Where are the other 21 cards? This is basically a template, and that means that you really can use the other 19 cards are inconsequential. They can be whatever you want. You could put 19 Fluffle cards in here. You could put 5 Frightful cards in your extra deck. Essentially, these are the 19 cards that you need. I mean, yeah, you could technically throw Upstart Goblin in because it basically just reduces your deck size by 1. Maybe you could even consider Into the Void the same type of deal, but I would not recommend things like Pot of Desires because you do have certain cards in your deck, unless you're just going to maximize, like if you're going to run more copies of these cards, you're just going to run 3 of everything, then Pot of Desires could technically work, but you know, some of these cards are important and there's only 1 copy, but yeah, I guess technically you could just bump all of these cards up to 3 and that would get you closer to 40. That way you could run Upstart Goblin and Into the Void, and then also like potentially Pot of Desires, but these are the most important cards that you need. Again, these deck lists will be in the description below. And here is the second deck, the one that was used with the Megalith combo. I could have swore that there were more than 1 Animasia monsters in that video, but I guess it was just 1. Some cards I would personally cut just to put a little more hand traps in here, so if you do happen to go second, although there is evenly matched in the main deck and infinite impermanence, I don't really see the point of Scapegoat. I feel like it was just in there for like the sake of the combo and just kind of showing how many cards you could blow up with a Thor. So I would personally take that card out. I would also take out the Megalith Trap card. That card is good, but it's mainly only if you're grinding, and when you're building a board, you're obviously not looking to grind. You're just looking to build that disruption, build the negation, and stop your opponent, then, you know, subsequently OTK them during the next turn. So I don't feel like those cards are necessary at all, and then I would just put in whatever your hand trap preference is. You're already at 40 cards here, so you could easily go up if you take out the Master Rule 4 card, or excuse me, Master Rule 5, you could easily go up to, you know, 43 cards and then have a decent amount of cards for going second, and obviously your full combo if you are going first. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoy those duels and the decks. Again, they'll be in the description below. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already, and turn on that notification bell for daily videos.